said, thank you so much for your time today.
No
Um,
problem.
I'm just so excited to learn about you. I've heard such amazing things. Do you mind just starting and just sharing a little bit about you? And then I would love to hear about your experience at Hannah's home.
Well, I I was pregnant really young with my daughter. I was 19 when I had her and I placed her for adoption. It was a big, huge fight of whether or not I wanted to be a mom or not. Um, she was inevitably placed for adoption, and I tried to live my life, and I ended up getting pregnant with my son. I was on the road and traveling, hitchhiking all throughout California, all throughout the Western United States. I rode on trains.
Mhm.
Any way that you could travel, I did. And I met his father in San Francisco. And we were both from the East Coast, so we had planned to come back over this way for the holidays. And somewhere about Texas, we found out I was pregnant with my son
Mhm.
and had absolutely nowhere to go. Um, we we lived on a sailboat. We lived in people's houses. And then I was done. I missed my dad. I missed my family. I missed people that were my foundation. Um, so I just wanted to go home. And I got to my dad's house. I was about 6 months pregnant with Luke.
Mhm.
And I had nowhere to go. I didn't know what I was gonna do. My dad and I were just like, he goes, "Well, it's just the same as it's gonna be, Britt. It's gonna be me and you, and I guess this little guy too. We'll figure it out."
Yeah.
And my aunt and uncle helped me find Hannah's home,
Mhm.
and it, it was so weird because um the like the way the process worked when I was accepted into Hannah's home was I had to go through an interview process of the resident director and then the person in charge, which at the time was Beth Fike.
Mhm.
And I showed up, and Kim kind of just made an executive decision, kind of, and said like this girl needs to be here. She doesn't need to be anywhere else. And a week later, my dad died.
Wow.
He suffered a heart attack, and and I would have been there, but it was Mother's Day of 2014. And if I wouldn't have been at Hannah's home, I probably wouldn't have known what to do, to be honest. My son was very much my dog hears me crying and he's like whining in the background.
Oh,
I put him up and every time he hears me upset, like he's like
oh, I love
um, yeah, he's an it's okay, Bama. It's okay.
dogs. He's like, "Are you sure?"
Yeah. Um, so when my dad died, it kind of like it was my best friend. He was my lifeline. I never really had a good relationship with my mom. We can live far away and we're like, oh, miss you, love you, and it if we're in the same room, just things just explode. It's horrible.
Mhm.
And you know, I had to learn a lot when I was at Hannah's home right off bat, just about get in the shower, bud. Yeah, go ahead. Uh-huh. Okay. I had to learn how to be a mom. I had to learn how to be completely independent,
Mhm.
and I had to learn how to get through grief and not cause unnecessary stress on on my baby because I was pregnant.
Yeah.
It was, and I got into grief counseling and all sorts of anything and everything that I needed as far as support came
Mm.
from anybody there. They were there.
Yeah.
uh Pastor Kieran helped me find grief classes. There was a woman that I don't know if she goes to the church any longer, but she ran the grief classes with Pastor Kieran, and
What was her
and
name?
it was just Julie Reed.
Okay, she might be.
I'm still friends with her, and she, everybody sees pictures and stuff of Luke, and like they remember him just rolling around on a blanket on the ground,
Yes.
and now he's running around. He's in karate. My family thinks that he's the exact replica of my dad, and I think that if my dad was alive at the same time as my son, I wouldn't have stood a chance. I wouldn't have stood a chance at being this kid's parent at all. My dad would have just he would have just been like the apple of my dad's eye.
Yeah.
You know, he's made me grow up quite a bit. I'm no longer with his dad,
Mhm.
while at Hannah's home, despite the advice and guidance of those that knew greater than me. Um, I still kept, you know, I wanted to try to cultivate a relationship because I came from a broken home.
Mm.
I didn't want my son to have to deal with that.
Yeah.
I didn't want him to have to grow up in that. And when we left Hannah's home, I was with his dad for probably another, I want to say, year.
Mm.
But in that year, it was just like we were two people living in the same house, living separate lives.
Yeah.
And it was just like it was just weird. It was just weird. It was like we were roommates with a child, and
Mhm.
like it was like living with a stranger almost.
Yeah.
And I would go and take Luke to go and drive up to Delray to meet up with Ashley, another former
Mhm.
resident. And Luke and Levi have been best friends since the day that they met, pretty much.
Oh, cool.
And still to this day, like he just told me the other day, Mom, I miss Levi. When can we go up and see Levi? But I haven't heard from Ashley in a couple of months. So, every time I get a hold of her and we get in touch, I always try to take them up and meet up so that they can play, because they pick up right where they left off every
Wow.
single time they see each other. It's really funny. And I'm also friends with Kelsey, that was another former resident there. We meet up almost every Friday.
Wow.
We meet up almost every Friday. Sometime the last time we were together with our kids was like this. They did this cool like art installation thing down at the near the park,
Mhm.
um, like 5 minutes away from my house. And she's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna take Bryce down there." And I was like, "Meeting you there. I'll be there soon." We
Oh,
went and hung out. It's really fun. I don't know what I would have done if it wasn't for Hannah's Home. They taught me so much. I'm
wow.
so grateful.
That's so good to hear. What were, I don't know, a couple of things that maybe stood out that you learned here?
How to fight for myself.
Yeah.
If we weren't employed when we were there, if we weren't employed, we were always learning
Hmm.
in some way, shape, or form. Going to classes, going to outside classes, and they sent us to a program, Dress for Success. It was called Dress for Success with Dr. Katz,
Hmm.
and she is absolutely amazing. And if it wasn't for them making me go to this class, I I just recently left a job thinking I was going into sales, into a new, like, awesome opportunity, and it wasn't what it panned out to be. And I was really panicked. And Dr. Katz taught me that every single job that you go, everything that you do, make sure that you're advancing yourself.
Hmm.
Never go backwards.
Yeah.
So even if it's, you know, $1 more an hour, or a different opportunity, a position of learning. I'll never accept less than what you're worth. And I've been able to fight for myself for positions rather than like, well, the position offers, $15 an hour. Well, if you look at my experience, like I'm worth more like 20 an hour. If you can see what I'm worth. I have all this experience, and I've when I started at my first job at Hannah's Home, I was excited because I traveled and I didn't have a job for 5 years. And I started a job and I was making, I think it was $8.50 an hour at Winn-Dixie.
Mm-hmm.
And now today, the last job that I started was 17 an hour
Mm-hmm. That's
with just to start, you know, and
awesome.
it's every single job that I've gone to has been something just a little bit more, and I learn a little bit more.
Wow.
And they taught me how to be confident in myself, and know that just because I was something in the past doesn't mean that sets my trajectory at all for the future.
Wow, that's incredible. And I can't wait to share this with our current residents because this will be, I would think, so inspirational to hear that you've been there and here's where you can go because you've done it. So that's
I
incredible.
literally I literally went from being in an unstable relationship, homeless. I was drug addicted, on the streets, didn't know where I was going, to I've been with a man for 6 years.
Oh,
We're planning on getting married. We've just wanted to take a longer engagement than originally planned,
yeah.
but we're happy. Communication is wonderful, and like there's no issues, there's no trust issues, there's no things that were an issue in my life before.
Mm, wow. And that's hard to find as we know
Yeah,
it.
yeah, it's really hard to find.
What would you say you're most proud of, like, since your time here?
Everything.
Wow.
I'm going to be celebrating 10 years clean off of heroin and methamphetamines this year.
Congratulations, Brittany. I would give you a hug right now if I could.
I was doing the math with a friend of mine, and
Wow.
I will be celebrating. I'll be celebrating 10 years clean. I know that I'm most proud of the mom that I've become,
Wow.
because I know that my kid can, like, he knows he can come out here and say, "Hey, mom," if if he hears me out here sobbing, I can guarantee you that he's gonna come and plop down here right next to me on the couch and just want to snuggle with me.
Oh my gosh. That's
And that's not ever a relationship I had with my mom.
wow. That is such a testimony, and I can just see, like, through pictures I see of you two together, you can just tell that it's such a healthy relationship and he is your best friend.
Yeah, he's this little kid's he's my everything.
He's a cutie.
He really is.
Oh,
He's got a complex right now because his teeth are starting to fall out and grow back in, so he's not wanting to smile like he should.
what would you say is your favorite part about being a mom?
That I can right all of the wrongs that were done to me, all the trauma that was caused to me when I was a kid that sticks with me. I can write it, if I raise my voice to my child, and it's not even his fault. I can come back and say, "Hey, listen, kiddo, uh, mom messed up. Okay, I yelled at you, and it had nothing to do with you. It's and I'm sorry. I apologize for that." "It's okay, mom." No, it's not okay.
but I'm glad that you accept my apology. I think that's the coolest part about at least being his mom.
Yeah, and what maturity to be able to look at your experience from face value and then utilize that to be the parent you want to be. I think that takes so much growth and character. And how has faith played a role in your experience?
By the grace of God, I'm alive.
Wow.
By the grace of God, I'm here, and I can wake up every day and do better than I did the day before. I talk about it all the time, that and I've said it forever. There's no way with me being the person that I was being that I can stand before anybody today and be sober and clean.
Mm.
I don't have anything wrong, any STDs. I don't have any kind of ailments that from my abuse and my addiction. I could have died.
Wow.
I could have been in jail. Um, my son could not have even been born,
Yeah.
The life that I lived was 100 miles an hour with my hair on fire for years.
Hmm.
And the fact that I can be a responsible, productive member of society
Yeah.
and I can wake up every day and not have to turn to drugs,
Yeah.
and I can be a good person, and I can be a trustworthy person, and that my friends now, I could tell them about the person that I was,
Yeah.
and they won't believe me, like they can't even see it. They don't even like they can't even fathom me being in that light.
Wow.
There's no way that there wasn't God having my back every step of the way before I was saved to this date, you know.
Yeah. Wow. And you met him halfway, it sounds like. Like you had the choice to do that and let him in to make those changes. So that's really incredible.
Mm-hmm.
To the moms here, if you were to give them, any advice, knowing what stage of life they are and living at this home, day to day, is there any pieces of advice you might want to give them?
I don't know how the program is now, but it was very, very strict when I first came in. And keep fighting, because you already gave up half the battle
Yeah.
in coming to Hannah's home, and this place would definitely change your life.
Mhm.
It will, as long as you just let it, because none of these people here are here for any bit of malice. They're
Mhm.
here for your own good. And as much as I know me, uh, I I was always a skeptic of anybody that's ever wanted to offer help. What's attached to that string, and the only thing that's attached at Hannah's home is love.
Yeah.
Literally it. And maybe an interview every once in a while if somebody wants to hear about what you went through it. But it's definitely, I was just telling Luke, I had to come and do this interview with you, and he's like, well, why? What's going on? I said, well, Luke, for the first year of your life, they were there and they helped mommy get my driver's license, I graduated high school, I became a mom, I became a hardworking person, I became saved. It's the only thing I can do, just to at least offer some sort of payback
Yeah.
to all the help that they offered us.
Well, you do not owe us anything, and thank you for sharing your heart. I'm so honored to just meet you and hear about your story. I feel privileged. So thank you for your time today.
Not
And
a problem. I
it,
love you guys so much, and it honestly, I'm so glad to see on my social medias more of, just like I'll be on TikTok and I'm like, oh, babies, and it's just somebody from Hannah, someone posted something. I'm like, oh, it's so beautiful to see that the world needs to see what a wonderful place Carol's created.
Yes.
And I was there before, I was there when it was just 4 rooms. There was just 4, actually there was just 3 of us
Wow.
that were there at one point. And to see what it is now, and to come and see the chapel and the plans and to where it is.
Yeah.
The world just deserves to see what a beautiful place this is. And all the babies that have helped save. Like, there's so many people out there today that are anti-abortion, and then you hear the people that are fighting back and forth. Well, would you adopt those babies? And this is what Carol's solution was. She reached out and she said, well, we can't adopt all the babies in the world, but we can at least try to help cultivate mothers and motherhood that want the best for their children, and whatever their decision is.
She's going to be touched to hear you say that, because that truly
Oh,
is the intention in her heart, to give options.
I love her so much.
Me too.
She's such a great woman.
Thank you so much for your time, Brittney. It was so nice meeting you, and I can't wait to share your story.
Not a problem.